Okay, so everyone, please don't get mad at me. Take this video as the most lighthearted joking at the fandom as possible because some of you are going to feel called out. I'm going to point out the cliches of the Transformers Prime fandom and its fanfiction in particular. You might think, holy crap, did you read my fanfic and are you picking on me? The thing is, I probably didn't, but Transformers Prime fanfiction is sort of its own universe separate from the show. Everyone started sharing and reusing the same ideas because they like them, even though it's not how the aligned universe functions. So I know everyone is waiting for my video tackling sexuality questions, and when I give the canon answer to the question, is Knockout actually gay? I started writing that script, but then I realized I should probably fully describe what the fandom does and how Fanon is commonly being seen as canon accidentally. No one feel called out again because I promise I was once believing exactly the same thing. Here's what happens. You just finished Transformers Prime and you really want more, so to fill the void, you hop onto a fanfiction website and voila, the story continues. But then you see all these fancy words and you think, damn, these people are super fans who really know their Transformers. Today I'm going to talk a lot about Starscream because I remember my experience with those fanfictions well. So imagine my predicament here. I watched Transformers Prime's last movie when it just came out. Robots in the Skies had not been made yet, so Starscream's status of alive or dead was not known yet. I wanted answers and I wanted him to be alright. High schooler me discovered fanfiction, but poor young me did not have any idea what the warning tags were. So I saw a lot, and even when I learned what sticky meant, I was so starved for Transformers material that I waded through the dirty stuff trying to find something I liked. In the end, every Starscream story I read did one of the following things I'll point out. Now, I don't read fanfiction anymore unless someone specifically sends me their story and tells me to check it out. But I still see what's going on through the drawings, the YouTube comments, and the recent things I was asked to read. As old as the fandom gets, its own Fanon universe stays strong because canon material is not at all easy to access, and the lore in Transformers Prime is not easy to understand if you only watched it once or twice. For example, I did not clue in that Predacons were legit predatory Cybertronians. It seems so obvious now, like Predacon, but other things like how gender works are not very clear in this show alone. I understand your confusion, and I once wrote the same stuff in my first fanfic. Let's try to laugh a little and maybe even learn some things for canon writing. Watch out, this fandom is thirsty. Not everyone knows the robots are asexual, and many would not care anyway. Sometimes the robots have biological sex, but you will mostly see the bots made into hermaphrodites. They have both male and female genitalia, spikes, and valves. Oh no, I said it out loud. That means anyone can get pregnant in this fandom, producing a sparkling. The one who gives birth, they call the carrier, and the one that does the seeding, that's the sire. I swear to you that I did not actually know what mpreg meant. I thought it meant Megatron pregnant instead of male pregnancy. I also had to learn what smut meant, so poor me. So you'll get a lot of fanfictions of the dirty stuff, but the majority might only hint at it without going into detail. People will mention sparklings, that maybe someone is acting like one. The Cybertronians might make a sexual joke when two characters find themselves in an awkward position. They might be told to get a room. The thing is, the moment such a sentence is said, you've already broken the canon because they don't have kids. Sparklings is of course official in other Transformers cartoons, but in the aligned continuity containing Transformers Prime, it is not. Ready for another surprise? Mech and Fem, which appeared in every fanfiction I ever read, is also not canon. Mech is a slang term for bot, while Fem or Fembot simply does not appear in any official aligned writing. This is because Cybertronian culture does not care about gender the same way humans do, and their gender is solely dependent on the aliens they are interacting with. All this I will explain in detail in the next discussion video. You'll wonder how to describe your characters, but the thing is, you really just don't if you want to go canon. Mech and Fem or Fembot are fandom words that would never ever be said in the aligned shows or books to describe a gender. So all these words, sire, carrier, spike, valve, sparkling, fem, fembot, mech, all those are fanon, not canon. Those are the things people want, but aren't true to the asexual culture of Cybertronians. The moment the words are used, I get the sense that Cybertronian culture is being humanized, which is why I don't enjoy reading this. What time is it? Time to do non-consensual things to Starscream. Okay, so did you watch the video I made about censoring Prime to make it naughty? How most of it was Starscream? Starscream can be shipped with anyone, and if you can think of it, that character has already Rule 34'd him. Starscream is portrayed as desirable because he has feminine traits, and he will often be assaulted or taken by force by many characters, even Autobots. Sometimes he really just is out to get some, but often people romanticize sexual abuse. You know those two, how they hate each other? Well, they just frag, to use the fandom term. And often Megatron does it out of hatred for Starscream. Dreadwing might do it too. Basically, Starscream is made so desirable that those who hate him immediately think they should frag him as revenge or punishment. That might be the plot device used to make Starscream fall into the arms of someone nicer. Sometimes, all this results in Starscream giving birth to Megatron's child, which he may or may not hide. Did I hear the rustle of several raised brows? This is not one specific story I read, this is a common cliche that gets repeated in many variations. On to the next topic actually, which isn't just for Starscream. You have this character, your favorite character that you want to get some hurt/comfort. Totally understandable. A reason Starscream is so popular is because we want to see hurt characters get some love and become better. Usually, writers will make other characters do something harsh or pick on the main character, so that we get that feeling of pity. In Starscream's case, Megatron abuses him much more often and very harshly. He will get hurt for small errors, and these things are used to push Starscream to the Autobots. Megatron might have nearly killed Starscream, causing him to run away. I personally feel drawn to the idea because I want to pity him like that, but I have to put my foot down and say, you know what? This isn't what would happen. It is easy to overdo the meanness of a character when, say, you don't care about Megatron but you care about Starscream, so you will write Megatron as the main antagonist. I learned over time that if you want to write Transformers Prime realistically, you have to respect every character. I mean seriously, if your story has Starscream join the Autobots, you have to consider each personal grievance they have against him. You have to think of what progress they made to get over this. Bulkhead hated Starscream for working with Mech and for what happened with Bumblebee. But he saw that he was pitiful and he lived through the experience and guilt of having killed Starscream before he knew it was a clone. These things you wouldn't think of if you focused too much on Starscream, but they are important. We know why RC hates Starscream, but she has also dealt with the realization that she can't just kill Starscream for revenge. Starscream even saved her at a later time. She isn't constantly trying to tear him apart, and she holds more anger against Arachnid actually. RC would not go against Optimus's wishes. She would argue, but she wouldn't sneak off to hurt or murder Starscream. That lesson was learned long ago and things already happened between them. On the flip side, I have seen RC shipped with Starscream or RC shipped with Arachnid, which makes me go, what? So maybe you decided to prove that they weren't such bad bots, but why in the bloody pits of Kaon would anyone date someone who killed their friends? Okay, I want to hop back onto the Megatron abuse point. People seem to think Megatron cares a lot more about Starscream than he actually does. Megatron doesn't ever go out of his way to bother Starscream. He does not even put in the effort every time to do more than yell at him. He can throw Starscream across the room, point a gun in his face, hospitalize him, beat him, but generally will just scare Starscream. Starscream doesn't run away because he thinks he has a higher chance of surviving on the Nemesis. You might want to write the breaking point, but Starscream actually has to do something detrimental to get hurt. Not every failure is a beating. Megatron will corner him, yell at him, but even in this scene, he takes a half-hearted swing. Starscream has mastered looking pathetic so that Megatron doesn't think he's a threat to deal with. I made another video joking about that because whenever Starscream is about to get in trouble, he does his act until Megatron gets tired of him and leaves him alone. If Starscream is ever just working or walking around, Megatron will not bother him. He won't unless he needs him, and then he is the type to wake up Starscream and power down. Here is how Fanon Megatron would do it though. He would question Starscream's loyalty in the hall, pin him against the wall, stalk him, dent his wings for fun, punch him for breaking something, and had this scene been taken into the fandom's hands, Megatron would be reopening his wounds. All this to say that characters are written much meaner than they really are. So a fun thing about the aligned continuity is that there is a lot of variety in Cybertronians. Minicons, two-wheelers, Seekers, Insecticons, Predacons, much more. There are races and species, although the difference is not very clear. Predacons are very different and should be considered a species because they have different abilities and organs. But the difference between Starscream and Dreadwing to the other bipeds is very small, which is why they might be another race. But I do not believe that has a huge effect on instincts. The thing is, the fandom loves making the Seekers a species. I know why this is happening because it puts special attention on what Starscream is and makes him quirky. Just like the other point about mean characters, doing this puts a big, fat spotlight on the main character. People love this so much that they won't care about my critique, but here it is anyway. Although four-wheelers are the most common Cybertronian, Seekers are not particularly rare or special. They're not very different from anyone else in personality or instincts, and in fact, instincts can vary based on body types and life experience. I will tackle possible race instincts in another video. The Seeker, a timid creature. It typically nests in high altitudes and uses its wings to monitor air pressure and wind speeds. The wings are particularly sensitive to sensations such as pain, temperature, and pleasure, and are rotated and lifted to pick up even the slightest sound or breeze. Flight is essential to the species. It hates confined spaces, feeling trapped and defenseless. If grounded, the Seeker feels stressed and may engage in self-harm if left in this state. Fresh air and regular flights is crucial to its mental and physical health, but the species also requires extra rest and fuel. The Seeker is endangered and needing protection, but with your kind donations, we can build shelters to house these creatures, providing a safe and calm environment away from natural enemies, where it can breed. Yes, so it do be like that. Any bit of Starscream's behavior can be exaggerated to make him cuter and quirkier, more lovable. No part of that except for the donations was made up because seriously, he is made an endangered species sometimes. Sometimes Seekers are made special enough to have their own language because that would make Starscream cooler and more mysterious. His wings are always the greatest focus though. They will be massaged, wounds on them will hurt more than usual, he uses them to measure the air, and yes, somehow he uses them for better hearing. Since Starscream emotes a lot with his wings, people see the grain of possibility and so everyone uses it. However, Seekers are not the only ones who emote with back parts, and not all do. Dreadwing has fixed wings, and anyone, regardless of race, moves back parts if they can. Starscream is not seen to do anything extraordinary that no one else does when it comes to behavior. And he is a dramatic character, so to apply it to his whole race lumps Skyquake, Dreadwing, Jetfire, all the aerial bots together. It seems really weird to apply these animalistic traits to a character like Jetfire, right? Again, this species thing is strange because Seekers are very close to other bipeds and they only need surgeries to change. They are not an animalistic type Cybertronian when others exist, who could have justifiable animalistic behavior. Oh my, so much going on, right? Fanon really loves its special little Seekers. That is why a lot of OCs are Seekers, so that there can be a relation to Starscream. Here's the thing about OCs, and I think people are definitely going to think, why would you pick on me? When in fact, this is just a lot of OCs. So, your OC is female probably. Without a doubt, that femme aspect is going to be pushed forward. If you make a male OC, I'm already surprised because that is much rarer. Alright, now, your OC probably flies because she's a Seeker or a Predacon, maybe some kind of triple changer or hybrid. If your OC is a Predacon, male or female, I bet they have a tail in their bot form and their wings are out. Because it looks cool, right? But Predacons are supposed to be compressed and changed into much larger forms, so to have their tails and wings fully out wouldn't really allow for that size change. All Predacons we have seen have their tails tucked in and wings folded or metal shrunk in their bot forms. We cannot use toy designs because, like I said, we need that size change and the toys don't account for that. Your Predacon OC, if female, is going to be very small. I would say too small because that is a Predacon, so she needs to be big. You might think all the female characters are super tiny, but the aligned continuity shows us that in fact, it is not this way. Slipstream is Seeker size for the sake of an example outside of Robots in Disguise, although Robots in Disguise shows the best examples. Female doesn't stunt their height, so your Predacon should be taller and broader than Megatron per se, maybe just skinnier if you want. But you think a Predacon like Ripclaw, someone with that face, is going to be a small weak thing? A Predacon is a scary monster with carnivorous instincts, the ability to track blood, who is equipped to eat the other characters, and filter their metal from their blood. The OC designs come off as half Predacon, like the modified Circuit of the Dinobot comics. She was a normal-sized Cybertronian with Predacon attributes and could talk in her beast form. If you are making a half Predacon experiment, this is in fact perfect. Alrighty, so your OC of whatever gender or race has been created. I bet they have some very special skill or even supernatural abilities. They specialize in some weapon, they're just badass in battle, they can control things, basically they're just very talented and can be any experienced Prime character with little experience. Yep, it's the classic Mary Sue. They always have the perfect insults, tearing apart Transformer Prime characters who are so shocked they can't even defend themselves. They might out-grump Ratchet, put RC in her place, beat up Bulkhead, fly better than Starscream, beat Wheeljack in a sword fight, render Ultra Magnus speechless, make Knockout jealous, befriend Soundwave, defeat Predacon. Heck, if they are on a mission, they are going to be victorious unless the plot needs someone to be captured or hurt, so the OC can be a hero. Your OC has Tood, but they are probably nice, turning Decepticons good and convincing the Autobots to trust them. Starscream needs rehabilitation? Thank goodness, here is an OC to bring him to the Autobot base and argue against the others on his behalf. He's probably going to fall in love with your OC unless, of course, they are already Starscream's child. Lots of Starscream daughters on the internet. Basically, your OC is just too good to have not taken a higher position in the Autobots or Decepticon ranks. If they are older, they should be a commander and well known. If you can beat Starscream, then he wouldn't have been at the top for so long. If your OC is a young Cybertronian, then damn, they're just too good for the amount of experience they have. There's a reason we have the term Mary Sue to describe these flawless characters. They're just all the badass we want, but are unrealistic characters who are hard to like. OCs usually walk over and insult the Prime characters we already like. It isn't really fun seeing Starscream get wrecked in a race when he was the aerial military commander for like thousands of years. It is uncomfortable seeing the OC win so much after watching a whole show of characters struggling to do just that. An OC-driven story is one I have never seen done well without doing any of these things, and it would shock me if I saw one following the canon rules of sexuality on top of that. I think OCs are excellent to expand a cast, especially in post-war Cybertron when bots are returning and new ones are being made. You are going to need a population. But for once, let's try making OCs that aren't walking sass machines. Let's make some unique personalities who make mistakes and have weaknesses that take a lot of time to overcome. I'll be clear again that I don't hate OCs, they're just almost always written the exact same way. They made me make a conscious effort to be careful when I made OCs, to fill in spots in my own stories. In fact, I think I killed off or maimed half my OCs because no one is safe. Recently, I just assigned a Viacon OC named Altero, as an alter because of the facial surgeries he had. A cynical bot who tries to use fear and discomfort to stop others from attacking him, because he knows inside that if they see him as just Viacon, they will dominate him. He is weak and unnoticed, and all he can do is act like a someone to make a place in post-war Cybertron. He's not a main character, but a side OC to show Viacons trying to be people. I would like to see more OCs like this, but I think they are hidden in the ocean of cliché OCs. So on this note, do you have a unique OC? Did your character or story escape the list of Fanon cliches? Tell me if you are guilty or innocent in the comments. And next time, let's find the true answer about Knockout's orientation.
Master! Are you going to allow one lieutenant to another? Master?
I'm thinking.